Hello? Hello? Hi. It's me, your boy. Real penis. Welcome in, my dudes, my slugs. It is time to rock. Can you tell that I'm feeling energetic? Hello, it's me, your boy. Skinny penis. Hello. Today I'm doing a very late stream, so late that it's 6 AM. So welcome. I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I think I'd had a bit of a stressful day because I ended up sleeping all night. So whoops, apologies. Gomenasai. Arigato. Sashibori desu. It's not really been that long, but it's been like, what, 2 days since I last streamed? 2 days since I last streamed. But hello, welcome. Let me say hi to the Sluggies in the chat. Hello Delta Test, true. Thank you for joining with the tests. The tests. Hello Ahmad. Thank you for the let me look at it. The face fuchsia wide eyes. Thank you for the face fuchsia wide eyes. That's an epic pog if I've ever seen one. Hello Casca. I just saw your comment on my tweet saying like that the bookmark was pretty, and seeing the gif you responded with the noodle horses, I was just like, oh my god, I love noodle horses so much. You know what's so funny, Kiska? Because I have like other people that like know how much I love long dogs. I had a friend send me a Twitter, like a tweet that I still don't even know what it is. I assume it's just pictures of borzois. But it was marked as sensitive content, so I couldn't even see it, and like they sent it to me and I was like, I can't see this, what is it? Like it says it's marked as sensitive content, and my friend was just like, look, like that's so funny because it's literally just like borzois. Like it wasn't anything sensitive, but I don't know, I guess borzois are just so cryptid looking that Twitter was like, yeah, that's too freaky, we're gonna mark that as sensitive. Hello Regin, hello, thank you for your lovely feedback on my Patreons and for all the support, I appreciate you. And your hey Delta, hey Delta, hey Regin, hey Casca, hey Ahmed, and any other sluggies that are watching. Oh god, I need to not do that to my voice because we are reading. Today we are reading Coraline. And you know, because it is 6 AM, the light is coming in, so I have a lamp here, like that's kind of doing stuff, lightened things, you know, bouncing off objects and such. And the light is coming in through the blinds, through the window as well, even. Also, if my microphone sounds weird, feel free to let me know, because I recently downloaded a new filter. Excuse me. I recently downloaded a new filter for noise reduction because apparently the noise reduction filter on OBS, like the noise reduction filter that comes with OBS, is apparently not very good. And I was scrolling on my Twitters and I got recommended a video that was like, here's a better noise reduction thing. So if it sounds good or if it doesn't sound good, feel free to let me know. And if it sounds bad, then we're just gonna have to, I mean, if it sounds bad, we're just gonna have to deal with it for the stream, because I don't know what else to do other than like turn off the filter. But yeah, so this book is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, or Gaiman? I'm pretty sure it's Gaiman. Neil Gaiman. And this, I didn't realise it was a book for the longest time. I just, like most of the world, I assume, knew it as the movie, the stop motion animation from 2009, I believe, Coraline, of the same name. And I recently, on Friday, I was on my way to my local cinema to watch the Backrooms movie, but then I ended up having like a really fucking bad anxiety attack, so I ended up having to do a U-turn and come home, and on the way home I stopped at our Waterstones, which I haven't been to in fucking years, but I used to go to Waterstones all the time when I was younger, and I was just gonna look around, but I was in like the horror-y section, and the bookstore owner came over and she was like, "Hi, can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you happen to have a copy of Coraline?" Because I saw that there was another Neil Gaiman book called The Sandman. And I was like, I mean, I have heard of The Sandman, but the real Neil Gaiman book I want to watch is Coraline. So she picked it out for me. She was so lovely. Like I said, I was having anxiety. I was having a real not great day. Literally had to cancel going to see a movie I've been looking forward to because of my fucking anxiety attack. And this lady was so nice to me. We were talking about like I said to her I'd always wanted to watch the I'll turn my gain down a little. I told her I'd always wanted to watch the movie. I told her I'd always wanted to read the book, and I grew up with the movie and I loved it. And she was like, yes, the movie is okay. It's you know, it's nice animation for the kids. But she had like an accent that sounded like this. I'm not sure where she's from, but she's like, but the book is actually scary. She's like the book is actually scary compared to the film. The movie is nice animation for the kids. And I was just I didn't say anything, but I was like holding it in, like, animation isn't just for kids, animation isn't just for kids, animation isn't just for kids. But I was like, she's being nice, just hold it in. You don't need to go on a rant about something like that now. Oh, I only just noticed on the cover she's actually holding like in the movie it's like a green triangle thing that she uses, like a seeing, where is it? There's like a seeing eye thing, but in this one it's like a gold thing. I don't know. Yeah, she was really nice. She even picked out this bookmark for me. She was like, because I love this book so much, I even got this for you from my personal collection, because it goes with the book, and it was free. So I was like, oh, I'm sick. Because I said to her like I was gonna pick out a bookmark, but I didn't really want to rush it. But then she just gave me one anyway. So yeah, so we are going to read a bit of this. I didn't read through it, I just like kind of did this. Oh, damn. I didn't realise that there was illustrations in the book. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. If I open a random page. I didn't realise that the font would be so large. Like, I'm used to my Stephen King book where like it's like half the size font. Like this looks like maybe like a 13, 14 size font. I'm used to like an 11 or 10. So honestly I kind of like that because my eyes are shit. But without further ado, I shall get started. And I'll read like the opening as well. I hope I don't like damage this by like opening it weird or something, but okay. Also, maybe I like tilt it a little, my webcam, so we can like read it properly together. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Neil Gaiman has written highly acclaimed books for both children and adults, and is the first author to have won the Carnegie and Newbery medals for the same work, The Graveyard Book. Many of his books, including Coraline and Stardust, have been made into films. Neverwhere has been adapted for TV and radio, and American Gods and Good Omens have been adapted into a major TV series. Yeah, I actually saw that in the bookstore. I saw Good Omens in the bookstore, and I was like, you know, I heard that was really good. So, you know, that's something I want to check out at some point in my life, but... he has also written 2 amazing episodes of Doctor Who and appeared in The Simpsons as himself. Oh, shit. Wait, he wrote 2 episodes of Doctor Who? I wonder which ones those were. Oh, look at this illustration. So this is illustrated by Chris... Oops, sorry. This is illustrated by Chris Riddle. If you can't fully see it, I apologise. This is like the best quality I can manage right now. Yeah, I guess there's illustrations in this book as well, which is something I'm not really accustomed to. I think the most illustration I got in the last book I read, or am reading, was in the scene where a character commits suicide. It's like, it like shows like the blood on the wall that he wrote using his blood, spelling out it. Okay. I started this for Holly, I finished it for Maddie. I assume this is kids. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Yeah, I actually heard this quote before, like, I think because I've watched like a fair few interviews and stuff about this book. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go dark there. That's the only other instance I can think of where I've seen an illustration in a recent book I've read. This quote's by jkjk, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that they said this quote in one of the Coraline interviews. It's really interesting seeing like the book versions of Coraline, because even on the cover, like, she doesn't have blue hair, she's got black hair. And her coat is purple, her wellies are purple. It's kind of interesting. I also really want to get this hair, to be honest. Just because I'm sick of like having long hair and I want bangs, and you know, kind of wanna embrace my inner goth. Okay. Okay, I don't know why it says Introduction to the 2012 edition. Maybe this is just... I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, I guess I'll read the blurb as well for people who don't really know like what Coraline is. Hi Cha, hello. Sometimes a door is closed for a very good reason. There's something strange about Coraline's new home. It's not the mist or the cat that always seems to be watching her, nor the signs of danger that Miss Spink and Forcible, her new neighbours, read in the tea leaves. It's the other house, the one behind the old door in the drawing room. Another mother and father with black button eyes and peppery skin are waiting for Coraline to join them there, and they want her to stay with them forever. Wait, why is forever 2 words? Anyway, she knows that if she ventures through that door, she may never come back. Nice. Terry Pratchett, I swear I've heard that name before. Anyway, let me have a little sip of water and then I'll start. We moved into our flat in Littlemead in the tiny Sussex town of Nutley. Mimi, you just started. Don't make jokes. We moved into our flat in Littlemead. Oh yeah, sorry, if you can hear like birds in the background, it's because there's birds in the background. I need my windows open because it's been so warm. But there's like crows or something going crazy outside. So if you can hear that, I do apologise. Okay. Starting for real. We moved into our flat in Littlemead in the tiny Sussex town of Nutley in the south of England in 1987. Once upon a time it had been a manor house, built for the physician to the King of England himself, so I was told by the man who had once owned the house, before he sold it to a pair of local builders, it had been a very grand house then, but it was now converted into flats. Flat number 4 where we lived was a good place, if a little odd. Above us a Greek family, beneath us a little old lady, half blind, who would telephone me whenever my little children moved. My little children? Is this like a blurb as well? I'm confused. Oh, it says Henry Selick. I assume... Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay, I was like, this must be like the intro blurb. I don't mind reading it though. I'm interested to hear like the backstory. Okay. Above us, a Greek family, beneath us, a little old lady, half blind, who would telephone me whenever my little children moved, and tell me that she was not certain what was happening upstairs, but she thought that there were elephants. I was never entirely sure how many flats there were in the house, nor how many of them were occupied. Oh god, why is the pages in Roman numerals? Oh, okay, it's just this section. Okay, I was like, oh my god, I can't read Roman numerals for shit. I was like, oh god, I'm fucked. Oh, I love Terry Pratchett. I definitely recommend him if you like fantasy. Yeah, I'd heard of his name before, like maybe from high school. But I'll have to see what he's done. Okay. We had a hallway running the length of the flat, as big as any room. At the end of the hall hung a wardrobe door as a mirror. When I started to write a book for Holly, my 12-year-old daughter, I set it in the house. It seemed easy, that way I wouldn't have to explain to her where anything was. I changed a couple of things, of course, swapped the position of Holly's bedroom and the lounge. Then I took a closed oak-panelled door that opened onto a brick wall, and a sense of place from the drawing room in the house I grew up in. That house was big and old, and it had been split in two just before we moved there. We had the servants' quarters and the oak-panelled drawing room, only for best, with a door at the end that had once been the family's entrance, but that now had led nowhere. It opened onto a brick wall. I took that room and that door, along with the front room of my grandmother's house, only for best, not for the family, still life oil paintings of fruit on the walls, and I put them into the book I had started writing. The book was called Coraline. I typed the name Caroline and it came out wrong. I looked at the word Coraline and knew it was someone's name. I wanted to know what happened to her. That's interesting. So that's why she's called Coraline. Interesting. Happy little accidents. Holly liked scary stories with witches and brave little girls in them. Those are the kind of stories she told me, so Holly's story was going to be scary. I wrote an opening that I later deleted. It went, "This is the story of Coraline, who was small for her age and found herself in darkest danger. Before it was all over, Coraline had seen what lay behind mirrors and had a close call with a bad hand, and had come face to face with her other mother. She had rescued her true parents from a fate worse than death, and triumphed against overwhelming odds. This is the story of Coraline, who lost her parents and found them again, and more or less escaped, more or less unscathed." I stopped writing Holly's book when we moved to America. I'd been writing it in my own time. It didn't seem like I had any own time any longer. 6 years later, I picked it up and continued from the middle of the sentence I'd stopped at in August 1992. It was, "Hello," said Coraline. "How did you get in?" The cat didn't say anything. Coraline got out of bed. I started it again because I realised that if I didn't, my youngest daughter Maddie would be too old for it by the time I was done. I started it for Holly, I finished it for Maddie. I see, so that's what he meant by that. Those are his daughters. Okay. We were living in a gothic old house in the middle of America, with a turret and a wraparound porch with steps up to it. It's a house built over 100 years ago by a German immigrant. A cartographer. That's someone who makes maps. See, I knew that because of One Piece. Because that's what Nami grew up being. An artist. His son Henry was said to have been the first man to put an engine on a boat, or on a bicycle, and was described as the greatest creative figure in the history of the racing car. Now, I was writing Coraline again. I still had no time, so I would write 50 words a night in bed before I fell asleep. I went on a cruise to raise money for the First Amendment, that's the one about freedom of speech, in comics, and wrote more of the story sitting out on the deck. I finished it in a little cabin on a lake in the woods. Dave McKean, artist and friend, took photographs of Little Mead, which he then played with to make the house on the back cover of the original American edition. Interesting. When Henry Selick made his stop-motion animated film of Coraline, he invited me to the studio. There were lots of sets there, each behind a black curtain. Henry proudly showed me the house that Coraline lived in the film. She'd moved from somewhere in England to Oregon now, and the house she was in was called the Pink Palace. That's my house, I told Henry. And it was. Henry Selick's Pink Palace was the house I live in now. Turret and porch and all. None of us are quite sure how that happened, but it seems strangely appropriate for a book that was started for one daughter in one house and finished for another in another house. The book was published in 2002, and people liked it. It won awards. More importantly than that, it worked, at least for some people. I'd wanted to write a story for my daughters that told them something I wish I'd known when I was a boy, that being brave doesn't mean you aren't scared. Being brave means you are scared, really scared, badly scared, and you do the right thing anyway. So now, 10 years later, I've started running into women who tell me that Coraline got them through hard times in their lives. That when they were scared they thought of Coraline, and they did the right thing anyway. That's sweet. Yeah. I do like when people say, like, that they were inspired to write or make something because of their family. Also, hi Sullivan. And that more than anything makes it all worthwhile. Chris Riddle has done a new set of illustrations for the 10th anniversary edition. I looked at the picture he had done for the cover and was amazed and delighted by the way that he had combined both of the houses. The one I live in now, the one I lived in then. Neil Gaiman, 2012. Coraline, who was standing in the doorway, cast a huge and distorted shadow. So I guess this is the image they're referring to when they say like it like mixes the house they live in now and the house they lived in before. Okay, now the story is actually beginning. Chapter 1. Coraline discovered the door a little while after they moved into the house. It was a very old house. It had an attic under the roof and a cellar under the ground, and an overgrown garden with huge old trees in it. Coraline's family didn't own all of the house. It was too big for that. Instead, they owned part of it. There were other people who lived in the old house. Miss Spink and Miss Forcible lived in the front. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. My lamp fell over, I'm so sorry. Jump scare before anything scary even happens. I'm so sorry. I'll put it like here. So sorry. That shit me up, bro. We hadn't even gotten like 2 sentences in and I shit myself up. I do apologize. Careful, Mimi, are you okay? Yeah, no, I'm fine. It's literally just I had the lamp at like an angle leaning against my microphone because the space under my desk was not big enough. But I guess it, you know, it made it fall. Okay. It fell. If that wasn't obvious. Okay. Right. That won't fall now because it's resting on the duvet. Okay. I guess. How do I make this like better for you guys to read? I I guess if I do it like this. I don't want my webcam to fall over. Okay. Okay, let's start again now that we know we're not going to get any premature jump scares. Go. It does make me laugh, by the way, whenever people like hear about like, "Ooh, why do you like horror stories? It doesn't have any jump scares. It's a book," and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that's what horror is all about, is jump scares. Yeah, that's why I like horror. Sarcasm. Okay, let's start again. Chapter 1. Coraline discovered the door a little while after they moved into the house. It was a very old house. It had an attic under the roof and a cellar under the ground, and an overgrown garden with huge old trees in it. Coraline's family didn't own all of the house, it was too big for that. Instead they owned part of it. There were other people who lived in the old house. Miss Spink and Miss Forcible lived in the flat below Coraline's on the ground floor. They were both old and round, and they lived in their flat with a number of aging Highland Terriers who had names like Hamish and Andrew and Jock. Once upon a time, Miss Spink and Miss Forcible had been actresses, as Miss Spink told Coraline the first time she had met her. "You see, Caroline," Miss Spink said, getting Coraline's name wrong, "both myself and Miss Forcible were famous actresses in our time. We trod the boards, lovey. Oh, don't let Hamish eat that fruit cake. Oh, he'll be up all night with his tummy." "It's Coraline, not Caroline. Coraline," said Coraline. In the flat above Coraline's under the roof was a crazy old man with a big moustache. Sorry, I had an itch. Ugh. He told Coraline that he was training a mouse circus. He wouldn't let anyone see it. "One day, little Coraline, when they are all ready, everyone in the whole world will see the wonders of my mouse circus. You ask me why you cannot see it now? Is that what you asked me?" "No," said Coraline quietly. "I asked you not to call me Caroline. It's Coraline." "The reason you cannot see the mouse circus," said the man upstairs, "is the mouse are not yet ready and rehearsed. Also, they refuse to play the songs I have written for them. All the songs I have written for them I used to play go oompa oompa, but the white mice will play only doo-doo-doo, like that. I am thinking of trying them on different types of cheese." Coraline didn't think there was really a mouse circus. She thought the old man was probably making it up. The day after they moved in, Coraline went exploring. She explored the garden. It was a big garden. At the very back was an old tennis court, but no one in the house played tennis, and the fence around the court had holes in it, and the net had mostly rotted away. There was an old rose garden, filled with stunted, fly-blown rose bushes. There was a rockery that was all rocks. There was a fairy ring made of squidgy brown toadstools which smelled dreadful if you accidentally trod on them. There was also a well. On the first day Coraline's family moved in, Miss Spink and Miss Forcible made a point of telling Coraline how dangerous the well was, and they warned her to be sure she kept away from it. So Coraline set off to explore for it, so that she knew where it was, to keep away from it properly, of course. She found it on the third day in an overgrown meadow beside the tennis court, behind a clump of trees, a low brick circle almost hidden in the high grass. The well had been covered over by wooden boards to stop anyone falling in. There was a small knothole in one of the boards, and Coraline spent an afternoon dropping pebbles and acorns through the hole and waiting and counting until she heard the plop as they hit the water far below. Coraline also explored for animals. She found a hedgehog and a snake skin, but no snake, and a rock that looked just like a frog, and a toad that looked just like a rock. There was also a haughty black cat who would sit on walls and tree stumps and watch her, but would slip away if she ever went over to try to play with it. That was how she spent her first 2 weeks at the house, exploring the garden and the grounds. Her mother made her come back inside for dinner and for lunch, and Coraline had to make sure she dressed up warmly before she went out, for it was a very cold summer that year. But go out she did, exploring every day until the day it rained, when Coraline had to stay inside. "What should I do?" asked Coraline. Read a book," said her mother. "Watch a video, play with your toys, go and pester Miss Spink or Miss Forcible or the crazy old man upstairs." "No," said Coraline. "I don't want to do those things. I want to explore." "I don't really mind what you do," said Coraline's mother, "as long as you don't make a mess." Coraline went over to the window and watched the rain come down. It wasn't the kind of rain you could go out in. It was the other kind, the kind that threw itself down from the sky and splashed where it landed. It was rain that meant business, and currently its business was turning the garden into a muddy, wet soup. Coraline had watched all the videos, she was bored with her toys, and she'd read all her books. She turned on the television. She went from channel to channel to channel, but there was nothing on but men in suits talking about the stock market and sports programs. Eventually she found something to watch. It was the last half of a natural history program about something called protective coloration. She watched animals, birds, and insects which disguised themselves as leaves or twigs or other animals try to escape from things that could hurt them. She enjoyed it, but it ended too soon and was followed by a program about a cake factory. It was time to talk to her father. Coraline's father was home. Both of her parents worked, doing things on computers, which meant that they were home a lot of the time. Each of them had their own study. "Hello, Coraline," he said when she came in, without turning around. Said Coraline. "It's raining." "Yup," said her father. "It's bucketing it down. "No," said Coraline. "It's just raining. Can I go outside?"
What does your mother say?"
"She says, 'You're not going out in weather like that, Coraline Jones.'"
"Then no."
"But I want to carry on exploring."
"Then explore the flat," suggested her father. "Look, here's a piece of paper and a pen. Count all the doors and windows, list everything blue, mount an expedition to discover the hot water tank, and leave me alone to work."
"Can I go into the drawing room?" The drawing room was where the Joneses kept the expensive and uncomfortable furniture Coraline's grandmother had left them when she died. Coraline wasn't allowed in there. Nobody went in there. It was only for the best.
"If you don't make a mess and you don't touch anything."
Coraline considered this carefully. Then she took the paper and pen and went off to explore the inside of the flat. She discovered the hot water tank. It was in a cupboard in the kitchen. She counted everything blue, 153. She counted the windows, 21. She counted the doors, 14. God damn, how big is this flat? What the fuck? Of the doors that she found, 13 opened and closed. The big, carved brown wooden door at the far corner of the drawing room was locked. She said to her mother, "Where does that door go?" "Nowhere, dear. It has to go somewhere." Her mother shook her head. "Look," she told Coraline. She reached up and took a string of keys from the top of the kitchen door frame. She sorted through them carefully and selected the oldest, biggest, blackest, rustiest key. They went into the drawing room. She unlocked the door with the key. The door swung open. Her mother was right. The door didn't go anywhere. It opened onto a brick wall. "When this place was just one house," said Coraline's mother, "that door went somewhere. When they turned the house into flats, they simply bricked it up. The other side is the empty flat on the other side of the house. That one's still for sale." She shut the door and put the string of keys back on the top of the kitchen door frame. "You didn't lock it," said Coraline. Her mother shrugged. "Why should I lock it?" she asked. "It doesn't go anywhere." Coraline didn't say anything. It was nearly dark now, and the rain was still coming down, pattering against the windows and blurring the lights of the cars in the street outside. Sorry, I'm just getting some water. Ugh. Where was I?
Okay. The street outside. Coraline's father stopped working and made them all dinner. Coraline was disgusted. "Daddy," she said, "you've made a recipe again." "It's leek and potato stew with a tarragon garnish and melted Gruyere cheese," he admitted. Coraline sighed, and she went to the freezer and got out some microwave chips and a microwave mini pizza. Bro, that's like food that I grew up on, was like, frozen fries and mini pizzas. "You know I don't like recipes," she told her father, while her dinner went round and round and the little red numbers on the microwave oven counted down to 0. "If you tried it, maybe you'd like it," said Coraline's father, but she shook her head. That night, Coraline lay awake in her bed. The rain had stopped and she was almost asleep when something went t-t-t-t-t-t. She sat up in bed. Something went creak. Coraline got out of bed and looked down the hall but saw nothing strange. She walked down the hallway. From her parents' bedroom came a low snoring. That was her father. And an occasional sleeping mutter. That was her mother. Coraline wondered if she'd dreamed it, whatever it was. Something moved. It was a little more than a shadow, and it scuttled down the darkened hall fast, like a little patch of night. She hoped it wasn't a spider. Spiders made Coraline intensely uncomfortable. Oh god, that's foreshadowing to the other mother. The black shape went into the drawing room and Coraline followed it in, a little nervously. The room was dark. The only light came from the hall, and Coraline, who was standing in the doorway, cast a huge and distorted shadow onto the drawing room carpet. She looked like a thin, giant woman. Again, foreshadowing. Coraline was just wondering whether or not she ought to turn on the light when she saw the black shape edge slowly out from beneath the sofa. It paused and then dashed silently across the carpet towards the furthest corner of the room. There was no furniture in that corner of the room. Coraline turned on the light. There was nothing in the corner. Nothing but the old door that opened onto the brick wall. She was sure that her mother had shut the door, but now it was ever so slightly open. Just a crack. Coraline went over to it and looked in. There was nothing there. Just a wall, built of red bricks. Coraline closed the old wooden door, turned out the light, and went back to bed. She dreamed of black shapes that slid from place to place, avoiding the light until they were all gathered together under the moon. Little black shapes with little red eyes and sharp yellow teeth. They started to sing, "We are small, but we are many. We are many, we are small. We were here before you rose. We will be here when you fall." Their voices were high and whispery and slightly whiny. They made Coraline feel uncomfortable. Then Coraline dreamed a few commercials, and after that she dreamed of nothing at all. That sounds almost like Black Mirror-y, like your dreams have commercials in them. I guess this is this Miss Spink enforceable? Interesting how they look in the book. Why are they showing like this, like, because it hasn't happened yet. I assume it's like a preview of what's to come in the chapter, I guess. I don't know. Chapter 2. The next day it stopped raining, but a thick white fog had lowered over the house. "I'm going for a walk," said Coraline. "Don't go too far," said her mother, "and dress up warmly." Coraline put on her blue coat with a hood, her red scarf, and her yellow Wellington boots. Interesting. Yeah, I think I remember, like, hearing that, like, in the book, she wears, like, a yellow raincoat and yellow boots in the movie, but in the actual book, she just has yellow boots. She's got a blue coat, a red scarf, and yellow willies. Interesting. That's, like, character design perfection with the three primary colours there. She went out. Miss Spink was walking her dogs. "Hello, Caroline," said Miss Spink. "Rotten weather." "Yes," said Coraline. I played Portia once, Miss Spink said. Didn't ask. I played Portia once, Miss Spink said Miss Spink. Miss Forcible talks about heraphilia, but Miss Spink... Sorry, I'm getting confused. Let me try that again. I think trying to say Miss Spink and Miss Forcible makes me so tongue-tied. Yeah, true main character colours. You're right. I remember I tried to design Squirmimi based off of like red, yellow and blue, but I was like, I don't really like red that much, so I just had a little like essence of it on the tip of her tentacles and that was it. And then later on I was like, you know what, I want to have a red toggle. But yeah. Anyway. Miss Forcible talks about heraphilia, but it was my Portia they came to see when we trod the boards. Miss Spink was bundled in pullovers. Miss Spink was... God, my fucking tongue. Red, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yep, red. Sorry, this is how I untie my tongue. Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, yep, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yep. Okay. Miss Spink was bundled up in pullovers and cardigans, so she seemed more small and circular than ever. She looked like a large fluffy egg. She wore thick glasses that made her eyes seem huge. They used to send flowers to my dressing room. They did, she said. Who did? Asked Coraline. Miss Spink looked around cautiously, looking first over one shoulder and then over the other, peering into the mist as though someone might be listening. Men, she whispered. Then she tugged the dogs to heel and waddled off backwards toward the house. Coraline continued her walk. She was 3/4 of the way around the house when she saw Miss Forcible, standing at the door to the flat she shared with Miss Spink. Have you seen Miss Spink, Caroline? Coraline told her that she had, and that Miss Spink was out walking the dogs. I do hope she doesn't get lost. It'll bring on her shingles if she does, you see, said Miss Forcible. You'd have to be an explorer to find your way around this fog. I'm an explorer, said Coraline. Of course you are, lovey, said Miss Forcible. Don't get lost now. Coraline continued walking through the garden in the grey mist. She always kept in sight of the house. After about 10 minutes of walking, she found herself back where she had started. The hair over her eyes was limp and wet, and her face felt damp. Ahoy, Caroline, called the crazy old man upstairs. Oh, hello, said Coraline. She could hardly see the old man through the mist. She walked down the steps on the outside of the house that led up past Caroline's front door to the door of his flat. He walked down very slowly. Coraline waited at the bottom of the steps. The mice do not like the mist, he told her. It makes their whiskers droop. I don't like the mist much either, admitted Coraline. The old man leaned down, so close that the bottom of his moustache tickled Caroline's ear. The mice have a message for you, he whispered. Coraline didn't know what to say. The message is this. Don't go through the door. He paused. Does that mean anything to you? No, said Coraline. The old man shrugged. They are funny, the mice. They get things wrong. They get your name wrong, you know. They kept saying Coraline, not Caroline. Not Caroline at all. He picked up a milk bottle from the bottom step and started back up to his attic flat. Ooh. And ooh. Let's see. He picked up a milk bottle from the bottom step and started back up to his attic flat. Also an unintentional feet cam. Caroline went indoors. Her mother was working in her study. Her mother's study smelt of flowers. What shall I do? Asked Caroline. When do you go back to school? Asked her mother. Next week, said Caroline. Said her mother. I suppose I shall have to get you new school clothes. Remind me, dear, or else I'll forget. And she went back to typing things on the computer screen. What shall I do? Repeated Coraline. Draw something. Her mother passed her a sheet of paper and a ballpoint pen. Oh, gosh. My feet keep going dead. I might need to, like, sit up and walk around soon. Coraline tried drawing the mist. After 10 minutes of drawing, she still had a white sheet of paper with Also, she just wrote the word mist? Or she was just writing, like, the word mist in, like, nice typography, I guess. Written on it in one corner in slight wiggly letters. She grunted and passed it to her mother. Very modern, dear, said Coraline's mother. Coraline crept into the drawing room and tried to open the old door in the corner. It was locked once more. She supposed her mother must have locked it again. She shrugged. Coraline went to see her father. He had his back to the door as he typed. Go away, he said cheerfully as she walked in. I'm bored, she said. Learn how to tap dance, he suggested without turning around. Coraline shook her head. Why don't you play with me? She asked. Busy, he said. Working, he added. He still hadn't turned around to look at her. Why don't you go bother Miss Spink and Miss Forcible? Coraline put on her coat and pulled up her hood and went out of the house. She went down the steps. She rang the door of Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's flat. Coraline could hear a frenzied woofing as the Scotty dogs ran out into the hall. After a while, Miss Spink opened the door. Oh, it's you, Caroline, she said. Angus, Hamish, Bruce, down now, lovies. It's only Caroline. Come in, dear. Would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, my feet are going numb. I think I need to walk around really quick. Like, because my feet are, like, starting to buzz. Oh. I'm just gonna walk around for a second. Oh. Oh, Jesus Christ. Excuse me. Oh. Sitting cross-legged / bent-legged is like the only way I can really sit on the floor. Oh. God, my feet are going dead, bro. Oh, so... Oh, my, you know when, like, you have pins and needles and they start to go away, but your foot is, like, tickling? Oh. Oh, it tickles. Oh. So ticklish. Oh. Maybe I'll do some stretches, that might help. Oh. Oh. I think that is helping actually. I'm gonna touch my toes. Time to touch toes. Ugh. I touched my toes. Wow. Damn, bitch, you touch your toes like that? Okay, I think that helped. Dun, 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 dun. This stream is so cozy. I gotta be careful not to fall asleep. I mean, you can fall asleep if you want. It's not like the worst thing that could happen. I mean, obviously if you've got stuff to do, I don't want to make you fall asleep. But... Okay. Where were we?
The flat smelt of furniture polish and dogs. "Yes, please," said Coraline. Miss Spink led her into a dusty little room which she called the parlour. On the walls were black and white photographs of pretty women, and theatre programmes in frames. Miss Forcible was sitting in one of the armchairs, knitting hard. Miss Spink poured Coraline a cup of tea in a little pink Bona china cup with a saucer, and gave her a dry Garibaldi? Isn't that like a British comedian, Garibaldi? Oh my god. I don't know how to say this. Garibaldi biscuit to go with it. Miss Forcible looked at Miss Spink, picked up her knitting, and took a breath. "Anyway, April, as I was saying, you still have to admit there's life in the old dog yet," she said. "Miriam, dear, neither of us is as young as we were." "Madame Arcati," replied Miss Forcible. "The nurse in Romeo, Lady Bracknell. Character parts. They can't retire you from the stage." "Now, Miriam, we agreed," said Miss Spink. Coraline wondered if they'd forgotten she was there. They weren't making much sense. She decided they were having an argument as old and comfortable as an armchair. The kind of argument that no one ever really wins or loses, but which can go on forever, if both parties are willing. She sipped her tea. "I'll read the leaves if you want," Miss Spink said to Coraline. "Sorry?" said Coraline. "Oh, the tea leaves, dear. I'll read your future." Coraline passed Miss Spink her cup. Miss Spink peered short-sightedly at the black tea leaves in the bottom. She pursed her lips. "You know, Caroline," she said after a while, "you are in terrible danger." Miss Forcible snorted and put down her knitting. "Don't be silly, April. Stop scaring the girl. Your eyes are going. Pass me that cup, child." Coraline carried the cup over to Miss Forcible. Miss Forcible looked into it carefully and shook her head and looked into it again. "Oh dear," she said. "You are right, April. She is in danger." "See, Miriam," said Miss Spink triumphantly. "My eyes are as good as they ever were." "What am I in danger from?" asked Coraline. Mrs. Spink and Forcible stared at her blankly. "It didn't say, Miss Spink," said Miss Spink. "Tea leaves aren't reliable for that kind of thing. Not really. They're good for generalities, but not for specifics." "What should I do then?" asked Coraline, who was slightly alarmed by this. "Don't wear green in your dressing room," suggested Miss Spink. "Or mention the Scottish play," added Miss Forcible. Damn, they really are actors. If you don't know what they're talking about, there's a Scottish play, I guess, called, is it called Hamlet? Is it Hamlet? And apparently it's bad luck to say the name Hamlet. Is it Hamlet, or am I thinking of another thing? There's a Scottish play with a name that apparently is bad luck to say. If you're an actor, at least. Coraline wondered why so few of the adults she had met made any sense. She sometimes wondered who they thought they were talking to. "And be very, very careful," said Miss Spink. She got up from her armchair and went over to the fireplace. On the mantelpiece was a small jar, and Miss Spink took off the top of the jar and began to pull things out of it. There was a tiny china duck, a thimble, a strange little brass coin, 2 paper clips, and a stone with a hole in it. She passed Coraline the stone with a hole in it. "What's it for?" asked Coraline. The hole went all the way through the middle of the stone. She held it up to the window and looked through it. "It might help," said Miss Spink. "They're good for bad things sometimes." Coraline put on her coat, said goodbye to Mrs. Spink and to her family's flat, and then stopped and looked around. Sorry that I keep, fumbling my words. This is my first time reading this as well. In the mist, it was a ghost world. In danger? Thought Coraline to herself. It sounded exciting. It didn't sound like a bad thing. Not really. Coraline went back up the steps, her fist closed tightly around her new stone. Interesting that that's like how she gets the like looking stone in the book as well, because in the movie they like make it out of candy. Ooh, what the fuck? Her eyes were big black buttons. What the fuck are those fingers? Oh, bruh. Damn, bitch. Do you manicure? What the fuck? I like the illustrations though, they're quite nice. Damn, we already got through that much of the book. I mean, to be fair, it is supposed to be like a young adult book, so. Chapter 3. The next day the sun shone, and Coraline's mother... Wait. Okay, I keep getting paranoid that I'm like flashing my snussie on stream because I'm not wearing underwear and I'm wearing like a long dress because I'm hot, but I'm sure it's fine. Probably shouldn't have mentioned that. Now y'all are gonna be looking out for it. The next day the sun shone, and Coraline's mother took her into the nearest large town to buy clothes for school. They dropped her father off at the railway station. He was going into London for the day to see some people. Coraline waved him goodbye. They went to the department store to buy the school clothes. Coraline saw some day-glow green gloves she liked a lot. Her mother refused to get them for her, preferring instead to buy white socks, navy blue school underpants, 4 grey blouses, and a dark grey skirt. But Mom, everybody at school's got grey blouses and everything. Nobody's got green gloves. I could be the only one. Her mother ignored her. She was talking to the shop assistant. The snussie. Yes. My snail pussy. Also, hello clitoris. How you doing? How you doing? Are you new? Are you a new person on the channel, or have you been here before? You saying Mimi like that makes me think that you've been around before. They were talking about which kind of pullover to get for Coraline, and were agreeing that the best thing to do would be to get one that was embarrassingly large and baggy, in the hope that one day she might grow into it. Coraline wandered off and looked at a display of Wellington boots shaped like frogs and ducks and rabbits. Then she wandered back. Coraline! Oh, there you are. Where on earth were you? I was kidnapped by aliens, said Coraline. They came down from outer space with ray guns, but I fooled them by wearing a wig and laughing in a foreign accent, and I escaped. Yes, dear. Now, I think you could do with some more hair clips, don't you? No. Well, let's say half a dozen to be on the safe side, said her mother. Coraline didn't say anything. In the car on the way back home, Coraline said, "What's in the empty flat?" I don't know. Nothing, I expect. It probably looks like our flat before we moved in. Empty rooms. You know, the back rooms, you might call them. I'm gonna put, like, my legs forward like this. Maybe that might help with, like, the numbing feeling as well. What was that? Do you think you could get into it from our flat? Not unless you can walk through big bricks, dear. Oh. They got home around lunchtime. The sun was shining, although the day was cold. I mean, I was gonna say that just sounds like standard British weather, but not really, because, I mean, most days the sun doesn't shine that well. Oh, my leg's going all fuzzy. Oh god. Like my knees going like... Oh, brother. Oh, I think this position is helping my, what do you call it? I think this position is helping my pins and needles, though. Bro, I seriously need to, like, I need to, like, sort, like, a better setup or something. I don't really want to put it on this again, but I don't know if I have a choice, really.
kind of dark now. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. If I do it like this, I'll make it a bit better. Like this? No. It's so hard figuring out like how to make things look right when you're broke as shit and just have like the bare essentials. I don't have no fancy lighting or anything. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Go over here. They got home around lunchtime. The sun was shining although the day was cold. Coraline's mother looked in the fridge and found a sad little tomato and a piece of cheese with green stuff growing on it. There was only a crust in the bread bin. "I'd better dash down to the shops and get some fish fingers or something," said her mother. "Do you want to come?" "No," said Coraline. "Suit yourself," said her mother and left. And she came back and got her purse and car keys and went out again. Coraline was bored. She flipped through a book her mother was reading about native people in a distant country. How every day they would take pieces of white silk and draw on them in wax, then dip the silks in dye, then draw on them more in wax and dye them some more, then boil the wax in hot water, and then finally throw the now beautiful cloths on a fire and burn them to ashes. Yeah, I was gonna say, it seemed particularly pointless to Coraline, but she hoped that the people enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, if people are enjoying it, it doesn't matter, right? Sunlight during a cold day feels insulting. That is just like standard British weather is like, even if it's like sunlight, it's still cold outside. I mean, maybe not right now because we've got a heat wave going on, but I digress. It seemed particularly pointless to Coraline, but she hoped that the people enjoyed it. She was still bored and her mother wasn't yet home. Coraline got a chair and pushed it over to the kitchen door. She climbed onto the chair and reached up. She clambered down and got a broom from the broom cupboard. She climbed back on the chair again and reached up with the broom. Chink! She climbed down from the chair and picked up the keys. She smiled triumphantly. Then she leaned the broom against the wall and went into the drawing room. The family did not use the drawing room. They had inherited the furniture from Coraline's grandmother, along with a wooden coffee table, a side table, a heavy glass ashtray, and the oil painting of a bowl of fruit. Coraline could never work out why anyone would want to paint a bowl of fruit. Other than that, the room was empty. There were no knickknacks on the mantelpiece, no statues or clocks, nothing that made it feel comfortable or lived in. The old black key felt colder than any of the others. She pushed it into the keyhole. It turned smoothly with a satisfying clunk. Coraline stopped and listened. She knew she was doing something wrong, and she was trying to listen for her mother coming back, but she heard nothing. Then Coraline put her hand on the doorknob and turned it, and finally she opened the door. It opened onto a dark hallway. The bricks had gone, as if they'd never even been there. There was a cold, musty smell coming through the open doorway. It smelled like something very old and very slow. Coraline went through the door. She wondered what the empty flat would be like, if that was where the corridor led. Coraline wandered down the corridor uneasily. There was something very familiar about it. The carpet beneath her feet was the same carpet they had in their flat. The wallpaper was the same wallpaper Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. The carpet beneath her feet was the same carpet they had in their flat. The wallpaper was the same wallpaper they had. The picture hanging in the hall was the same that they had hanging in their hallway at home. She knew where she was. She was in her own home. She hadn't left. She shook her head, confused. She stared at the picture hanging on the wall. No, it wasn't exactly the same. The picture they had in their own hallway showed a boy in old-fashioned clothes staring at some bubbles, but now the expression on his face was different. He was looking at the bubbles as if he was planning to do something very nasty indeed to them, and there was something peculiar about his eyes. Oops. Sorry. I want to read the chat. Yeah, from what I've heard, you could use a cold day. Yeah, specifically like the back of my neck right now is really hot and kind of hurts. I might go get like an ice pack after this chapter. Ice pack. It's like a little freezable fruit shape thing. Okay. Coraline stared at his eyes, trying to work out what exactly was different. She almost had it when somebody said, "Coraline?" It sounded like her mother. Coraline went into the kitchen, where the voice had come from. A woman stood in the kitchen with her back to Coraline. She looked a little like Coraline's mother, only her skin was as white as paper. Only she was taller and thinner. Only her fingers were too long, and they never stopped moving. And her dark red fingernails were curved and sharp. "Coraline?" the woman said. "Is that you?" And then she turned around. Her eyes were big, black buttons. "Lunchtime, Coraline," said the woman. "Who are you?" asked Coraline. "I'm your other mother," said the woman. "Now go and tell your other father that lunch is ready." She opened the door of the oven. Suddenly, Coraline realized how hungry she was. It smelled wonderful. "Well, go on." Coraline went down the hall to where her father's study was. She opened the door. There was a man in there, sitting at the keyboard, with his back to her. "Hello," said Coraline. Oh wait, sorry, I was doing his voice. "Hello," said Coraline. She said to say that lunch is ready." The man turned around. His eyes were buttons, big and black and shiny. "Hello, Coraline," he said. "I'm starving." He got up and went with her into the kitchen. They sat at the kitchen table, and Coraline's other mother brought them lunch. A huge golden brown roasted chicken, fried potatoes, tiny green peas. Coraline shoveled the food into her mouth. It tasted wonderful. Bro, this is gonna make me hungry. "We've been waiting for you for a long time," said Coraline's other father. "For me?" "Yes," said the other mother. "It wasn't the same here without you, but we knew you'd arrive one day, and then we could be a proper family. Would you like some more chicken?" It was the best chicken that Coraline had ever eaten. Bro, fucking KFC in England is good. Like, I've heard... What am I saying? I've heard that KFC... them talking about chicken is making me think of KFC because I have a KFC nearby. I've heard that KFC in other countries is bad. I've never tried KFC in other countries, but, like, I'm curious what it would be like. Because I've heard in other countries it's bad, but apparently, like, KFC in England is actually, like, really good compared to other places. Which I'm like, huh? Really? I thought you all said we had unseasoned food or something. It was the best chicken that Coraline had ever eaten. Her mother sometimes made chicken, but it was always out of packets or frozen. Oh god. God, that's too real. And was very dry, and it never tasted of anything. When Coraline's father cooked chicken, he bought real chicken, but he did strange things to it, like stewing it in wine, or stuffing it with prunes, or baking it in pastry, and Coraline would always refuse to touch it on principle. Here in the US, it's okay. There's better food. Bro, I fucking love the KFC here at least. I don't know about other countries, but here is fucking nice. She took some more this is just like in the movie, the fucking scene where they're eating food is like, oh god, it makes me be like, god, I need some fucking food. I'm motherfucking hungry. She took some more chicken. I didn't know I had another mother. said Coraline cautiously. Of course you do. Everyone does, said the other mother, her black button eyes gleaming. After lunch I thought you might like to play in your room with the rats. The rats? From upstairs. Coraline had never seen a rat, except on television. Where was I? I lost my place. Coraline had never seen a rat, except on television. She was quite looking forward to it. This was turning out to be a very interesting day after all. After lunch, her other parents did the washing up, and Coraline went down the hall to her other bedroom. It was different from her bedroom at home. For a start, it was painted an off-putting shade of green and a peculiar shade of pink. Coraline decided that she wouldn't want to have to sleep in here, but that the colour scheme was an awful lot more interesting than the one in her own bedroom. There were all sorts of remarkable things in there she'd never seen before. Wind-up angels that fluttered around the bedroom like startled sparrows, books with pictures that writhed and crawled and shimmered, little dinosaur skulls that chattered their teeth as she passed, a whole toy box filled with wonderful toys. This is more like it, thought Coraline. She looked out of the window. Outside the view was the same one she saw from her own bedroom. Trees, fields, and beyond them, on the horizon, distant purple hills. Something black scurried across the floor and vanished under the bed. Coraline got down on her knees and looked under the bed. 50 little red eyes stared back at her. "Hello," said Coraline. "Are you the rats?" They came out from under the bed, blinking their eyes in the light. They had short, soot-black fur, little red eyes, pink paws like tiny hands, and pink hairless tails like long, smooth worms. "Can you talk?" she asked. The largest, blackest of the rats shook its head. It had an unpleasant sort of smile. Coraline thought. "Well," asked Coraline, "what do you do?" The rats formed a circle. Then they began to climb on top of each other. Carefully but swiftly until they had formed a pyramid with the largest rat at the top. The rats began to sing in high, whispery voices.
We have teeth and we have tails, we have tails, we have eyes. We were here before you fell, we will be here when we rise.
It wasn't a pretty song. Coraline was sure she'd heard it before, or something like it, although she was unable to remember exactly well. Then the pyramid fell apart, and the rats scampered, fast and black, towards the door. The other crazy old man upstairs was standing in the doorway, holding a tall black hat in his hands. The rats scampered up to him, burrowing into his pockets, into his shirt, up his trouser legs, down his neck. The largest rat climbed onto the old man's shoulders, swung up on the long grey moustache, past the big black button eyes, and on top of the man's head. In seconds, the only evidence that the rats were there at all were the restless lumps under the man's clothes, forever sliding from place to place across him. And there was still the largest rat, who stared down with glittering red eyes at Coraline from the man's head. The old man put his hat on, and the last rat was gone.
"Hello, Coraline," said the other old man upstairs. "I heard you were here. It is time for the rats to have their dinner, but you can come up with me if you like and watch them feed."
There was something hungry in the old man's button eyes that made Coraline feel uncomfortable. "No, thank you," she said. "I'm going outside to explore." The old man nodded, very slowly. Coraline could hear the rats whispering to each other, although she couldn't tell what they were saying. She was not certain that she wanted to know what they were saying. Her other parents stood in the kitchen doorway as she walked down the corridor, smiling identical smiles and waving slowly. "Have a nice time outside," said her other mother. That's so creepy. We'll just wait here for you to come back," said her other father. When Coraline got to the front door, she turned back and looked at them. They were still watching her and waving and smiling.
Coraline walked outside and down the steps. That's so creepy. So they can't talk, but they can sing. I mean, I assume that they were lying, because it said here that they were whispering to each other. So I assume that they were lying when they said that they can't talk. That's so creepy that they're just standing there, identical smiles, waving slowly at them. It's very creepy. Oh, is this the young Spink and Forcible? Miss Spink and Miss Forcible came onto the stage. Oh god, that's like their old lady suits here. Can't really see. It was their old lady suits down here, like in the movie. These food descriptions are killing me. Yeah, I mean, oh, I might have something to eat after this, because this is like, damn. Got me hungry. I'm gonna try to push my desk a bit. Just so I have like a teensy bit more space. Okay. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna get an ice pipe, didn't I? I might actually do that. Oh, it's raining. Oh, nice, bro. I mean, the motto of the movie the motto for the movie for Coraline is "Careful what you wish for." But bro, I wished for it to rain, and it is. So that's pretty neat. I am still really warm though, to be honest. So I'm gonna BRB and go get one of those freezable fruit ships from my freezer. Oh, I'm also gonna put my fan on for a second. Ooh. Sorry, that probably sounds like a fucking razor, but I got like a little electric fan from Tesco because I'm so warm. Oh, that feels nice. Sorry if that's a bit loud. Okay, I will be happy. Yeah, it's raining. It looks so grey and so depressing outside, but it's raining, which means cooler weather today, so poggers. Wait, do I hear... Oh, I thought I heard like thunder, but I think it's just like a plane. Okay, I'm gonna BRB. I'm gonna go get a freezable fruit ship. Just stay there. Do I have like a BRB text? I've got so many layers and it's gonna be a... Oh, there we go. Why is it brown? Ew. Brown. Now we go for bright red like the eyes of the rats. Rats, we are the rats. Bit birthday bash. Michael, it's your birthday today. Ooh, you've got a thunderstorm going on? Oh, I bet that makes this even cozier. Okie doke. Alright, I'm a BRB. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Hello, I am back. I got my freezable fruit ship for my sore ass neck. I also got some ice. Little pieces of ice. Oh! Snack break, I guess. Little drops of ice that didn't get to fall in the thing. Tiny little pieces of ice. Okay. Welcome back. Thank you. I got some ice from my water. I was thinking like maybe we could do an experiment as well where like I have like an ice cube out and it's like kind of side monitor content so you can like see how warm it is. Like how quick it melts, but I'm not sure. Not exactly sure what I could even put it in. I mean, I have like this tub of petroleum jelly. I could maybe put it in the lid. Maybe. That's good. I mean, I'm gonna use like the whole thing because otherwise it's gonna melt. I mean, I'll save one. I'll save one for our little experiment. Snack and hydration all in one. I never get when people get weirded out by people that like to crunch ice. I mean, I get it if it's like a sensitive teeth thing, but like, you don't need to be so mean. Like, I've got sensitive teeth, but I like crunching ice. It's like, it's about which teeth you use to crunch it with. Where do I put this exactly? I'm gonna put this somewhere where it's like... I wish I had like a better lamp or something with this. I wished for rain earlier. Maybe if I wish for a better lamp, that'll happen. It's really gonna happen though. Okay, I'm gonna put this like... I'll make like a tiny little ice window over here. And you can just watch that melt slowly over time, I guess. Side monitor content. Oh yeah. I'm gonna move, no, I'll leave it. Oh, that's nice and cold. Okay. Where were we? Put this over here. Oh yeah, and where's the... Oh yeah, and this is the freezable fruit ship for my neck. Oh, that feels good. Oh... I think because I'm like sat on the floor, or like I've like fashioned a little bed next to my desk with like my duvet folded up. It's not really a bed, it's more like a seating thing. I folded up my duvet and put it on the ground, and I'm like having to keep like look up at my monitors. It's like making my neck hurt, so... Not only is it nice for the heat, but it's nice for the ache on my neck. I do really like weatherware because I didn't notice it first, but like, I love artwork where the more you look at it, the more like stuff you notice. And I mean, like, not only do we have like a little other mother there in the window, but like, there's like other creepy figures like in the windows that you can like vaguely see. Okay. I'm glad you're keeping cool. Thank you.
cool and hydrated, like any good snail should be. How am I supposed to stay slimy if I'm not keeping hydrated? Okay. Oof. This lamp is kind of making it hard to like... Does that help? If I kind of... I'm gonna kill this lamp. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill its family. I'm gonna kill its husband. No, I'm not gonna do that. Family's too far, but its husband. I could use my phone holder to do this, maybe. Sure. Guess that kind of works. I just think the lamp was like overexposing it. Chapter 4. The house looked exactly the same from the outside, or almost exactly the same, around Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's door, were blue and red light bulbs that flashed on and off spelling out words, the lights chasing each other around the door, on and off, around and around. Astounding was followed by a theatrical, and then triumph. It was a sunny, cold day, exactly like the one she'd left. There was a polite noise from behind her. She turned round. Standing on the wall next to her was a large black cat, identical to the large black cat she'd seen in the grounds at home. Good afternoon. Oh wait, this is the cat speaking. Good afternoon, said the cat. Its voice sounded like the voice at the back of Coraline's head, the voice she thought words in, but a man's voice, not a girl's. Interesting. Hello, said Coraline. I saw a cat like you in the garden at home. You must be the other cat. The cat shook its head. No, it said. I'm not the other anything. I'm me. It tipped its head on one side. Green eyes glinted. You people are spread all over the place. Cats, on the other hand, keep ourselves together, if you see what I mean. I suppose. But if you're the same cat I saw at home, how can you talk? Cats don't have shoulders. Not like people do. But the cat shrugged, in one smooth movement that started at the tip of its tail and ended in a raised movement of its whiskers. I can talk. Cats don't talk at home. No? Said the cat. No, said Coraline. The cat leapt smoothly from the wall to the grass near Coraline's feet. It stared up at her. Well, you're the expert on these things, said the cat dryly. After all, what would I know? I'm only a cat. It began to walk away, head and tail held high and proud. Come back, please, said Coraline. I'm sorry, I really am. The cat stopped walking and sat down and began to wash itself, thoughtfully, apparently unaware of Coraline's existence. We could be friends, you know, said Coraline. We could be rare specimens of an exotic breed of African dancing elephants, said the cat. But we're not, at least. It added cattily, after darting a brief look at Coraline. I'm not. Coraline sighed. Please? What's your name? Coraline asked the cat. Look, I'm Coraline, okay? The cat yawned slowly, carefully, revealing a mouth and tongue of astounding pinkness. Cats don't have names, it said. No? Said Coraline. No, said the cat. Now, you people have names. That's because you don't know who you are. We know who we are, so we don't need names. There was something irritatingly self-centered about the cat, Coraline decided,
as if it were, in its opinion, the only thing in the world or place that could possibly be of any importance. I mean, that does sound like cats, to be honest. Half of her wanted to be very rude to it. The other half of her wanted to be polite and deferential. The polite half won. "Please, what is this place?" The cat glanced around briefly. "It's here," said the cat. "I can see that. Well, how did you get here?" "Like you did. I walked," said the cat. "Like this." Coraline watched as the cat walked slowly across the lawn. It walked behind a tree, but didn't come out the other side. Coraline went over to the tree and looked behind it. The cat was gone. She walked back towards the house. There was another polite noise from behind her. It was the cat. "By the by," it said, "it was sensible of you to bring protection. I'd hang on to it if I were you." "Protection?" "That's what I said," said the cat. "And anyway," it paused and stared intently at something that wasn't there. Then it went down into a low crouch and moved slowly forward, 2 or 3 steps. It seemed to be stalking an invisible mouse. Abruptly, it turned tail and dashed for the woods. It vanished among the trees. Coraline wondered what the cat had meant. She also wondered whether cats could all talk, where she came from and just choose not to. She also wondered whether cats could all talk where she came from and just chose not to, or whether they could only talk when they were here, wherever here was. She walked down the brick steps to the Mrs. Spink Enforcible's front door. The blue and red lights flashed on and off. I wonder if that's like, I don't know, foreshadowing, symbolism, whatever the fuck, for danger, because that just makes me think of like a siren. Oh god, I'm so sorry. So cats are universal constants, yeah. I mean, cats are just assholes in general, to be honest. Like, even nice ones can be assholes. I mean, to be fair, dogs can be assholes too. It depends on the dog and the cat. Let's see. The blue and red lights flashed on and off. The door was open, just slightly. She knocked on it, but her first knock made the door swing open, and Coraline went in. She was in a dark room that smelled of dust and velvet. The door swung shut behind her, and the room was black. Coraline edged forward into a small anteroom. Her face brushed against something soft. It was cloth. She reached up her hand and pushed at the cloth. It parted. She stood blinking on the other side of the velvet curtains in a poorly lit theatre. Far away at the edge of the room was a high wooden stage, empty and bare, a dim spotlight shining onto it from above. There were seats between Coraline and the stage, rows and rows of seats. She heard a shuffling noise, and a light came towards her, swinging from side to side. When it was closer, she saw that the light was coming from a torch, being carried in the mouth of a large black Scotty dog, its muzzle grey with age. "Hello," said Coraline. The dog put the torch down on the floor and looked up at her. "Right, let's see your ticket." Sorry. They're called Scotty dogs, so I couldn't resist. "Right, let's see your ticket, wee young'un," it said gruffly. "Ticket? That's what I said. Ticket. I haven't got all day. I know. Can't watch the show without a wee ticket." Coraline sighed. "I don't have a ticket," she admitted. "Another one," said the dog gloomily. "Come in here, bold as anything. Where is your ticket? I haven't got one. I don't know." It shook its head then shrugged. "Come on then." The dog picked up the torch in its mouth and trotted off into the dark. Coraline followed. When it got to the front of the stage, it stopped and shone the torch onto an empty seat. Coraline sat down and the dog wandered off. As her eyes got used to the darkness, she realised that the other inhabitants of the seats were also dogs. There was a sudden hissing noise from behind the stage. Coraline decided it was the sound of a scratchy old record being put onto a record player. The hissing became the noise of trumpets, and Miss Spink and Miss Forcible came onto the stage. Great voice acting, thanks. It's just, I feel like it's going to be so boring if I just do the same voice for everyone, and it's more fun for me as well to do the voices like that. Like it helps me mentally differentiate the characters. Miss Spink was riding a one-wheeled bicycle and juggling balls. Miss Forcible skipped on behind her, holding a basket of flowers. She scattered the flower petals across the stage as she went. They reached the front of the stage, and Miss Spink leapt nimbly off the unicycle, and the two old women bowed low. Bowed low? Oh my god. Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. Miss Spink leapt nimbly off the unicycle, and the two old women bowed low. Am I saying that right? Bowed low. Fuck my life. It's fun for you too? Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear. All the dogs thumped their tails and barked enthusiastically. Coraline clapped politely. Then they unbuttoned their fluffy round coats and opened them. But their coats weren't all that opened. Their faces opened too, like empty shells, and out of the old, empty, fluffy, round bodies stepped two young women. They were thin and pale and quite pretty, and had black button eyes. The new Miss Spink was wearing green tights and high brown boots that went most of the way up her legs. The new Miss Forcible wore a white dress and had flowers in her long yellow hair. Coraline pressed back against her seat. I'm gonna cross my legs again. I know that like seems to make my legs go dead sooner, but I'm just more comfortable like that. Coraline pressed back against her seat. Miss Spink left the stage, and the noise of trumpets squealed as the gramophone needle dug its way across the record and was pulled off. "This is my favourite bit," whispered the little dog in the seat next to her. The other Miss Forcible picked a knife out of a box on the corner of the stage. "Is this a dagger that I see before me?" she asked. "Yes." "Aye," shouted all the little dogs. "It is." Miss Forcible curtsied, and all the dogs applauded again. Sorry, I can't fucking read. Curtsied. I can't read bow or curtsied. Miss Forcible curtsied and all the dogs applauded again. Coraline didn't bother clapping this time. Miss Spink came back on. She slapped her thigh and all the little dogs woofed. "And now," Miss Spink said, "Miriam and I proudly present a new and exciting addendum to our theatrical exposition. Do I see a volunteer?" The little dog next to Coraline nudged her with its front paw. "That's you," it hissed. Coraline stood up and walked up to the wooden steps to the stage. "Can I have a big round of applause for the young volunteer?" asked Miss Spink. The dogs woofed and squealed and thumped their tails on the velvet seats. "Now, Coraline," said Miss Spink, "what's your name?" Wait, what? That's fucking weird. "Now, Coraline," said Miss Spink, "what's your name?" "Coraline," said Coraline. "And we don't know each other, do we?" Coraline looked at the thin young woman with black button eyes and shook her head slowly. "Now," said the other Miss Spink, "stand over here." She led Coraline over to a board by the side of the stage and put a balloon on top of Coraline's head. Miss Spink walked over to Miss Forcible. She blindfolded Miss Forcible's button eyes with a black scarf and put the knife into her hands. Then she turned her around 3 or 4 times and pointed her at Coraline. Coraline held her breath and squeezed her fingers into 2 tight fists. Miss Forcible threw the knife at the balloon. It popped loudly, and the knife stuck into the board just above Coraline's head and twanged there. Coraline breathed out. The dogs went wild. Miss Spink gave Coraline a very small box of chocolates and thanked her for being such a good sport. Coraline went back to her seat. "You were very good," said the little dog. You were very good. I can't. It's "You were very good," said the little dog. "Thank you," said Coraline. Mrs. Forcible and Spink began juggling with huge wooden clubs. Coraline opened the box of chocolates. The little dog looked at them longingly. "Wait, what? Would you like one?" she asked it. "Oh, yes, please," whispered the dog. "Only not toffee ones. They make me drool." "I thought chocolates weren't very good for dogs," she said, remembering something Miss Forcible had once told her. "Maybe where you come from," whispered the little dog. "Here, it's all we eat." Interesting. Coraline couldn't see what the chocolates were in the dark. Ooh. She took an experimental bite of one which turned out to be coconut. Coraline didn't like coconut. She gave it to the dog. I mean, if you have cold-pressed, organic coconut oil, that's healthy for dogs in, like, small doses. "Thank you," said the dog. "You're welcome," said Coraline. Miss Forcible and Miss Spink were doing some acting. Miss Forcible was sitting on a stepladder, and Miss Spink was standing at the bottom. "What's in a name?" asked Miss Forcible. "That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet." "Have you got any more chocolates?" said the dog. Coraline gave the dog another chocolate. "I tell not how to tell thee how I am," said Miss Spink to Miss Forcible. "This bit finishes soon," whispered the dog. Then they start folk dancing." "How long does this go on for?" asked Coraline. "The theatre?" "All the time," said the dog. "Forever and always." "Here," said Coraline. "Keep the chocolates." "Thank you," said the dog. Coraline stood up. "See ya soon," said the dog. "Bye," said Coraline. So they just do theatre constantly. That's kind of weird. Interesting. She walked out of the theatre and back into the garden. She had to blink her eyes at the daylight. Her other parents were waiting for her in the garden, standing side by side. They were smiling. "Did you have a nice time?" asked her other mother. "It was interesting," said Coraline. The 3 of them walked back up to Coraline's other house together. Coraline's other mother stroked Coraline's hair with her long white fingers. Coraline shook her head. "Don't do that," said Coraline. Her other mother took her hand away. "So," said her other father, "do you like it here?" "I suppose," said Coraline. "It's much more interesting than at home." They went inside. "I'm glad you like it," said Coraline's other mother, "because we'd like to think that this is your home. You can stay here forever and always if you want to." Said Coraline. She put her hands in her pockets and thought about it. Her fingertips touched the stone that the real Mrs. Spink and Forcible had given her the day before, the stone with the hole in it. "If you want to stay," said her other father, "there's only one little thing we'll have to do, so you can stay here forever and always." They went into the kitchen. On a china plate on the kitchen table were a spool of black cotton and a long silver needle, and beside them 2 large black buttons. I'm surprised they're doing this so early. Like, I'm surprised they're not, like, doing a little bit more of, like, enticing before they ask her to do this. "I don't think so," said Coraline. "Oh, but we want you to," said her other mother.
We want you to stay, and it's just a little thing."
"It won't hurt," said her other father.
Coraline knew that when grown-ups told you something wouldn't hurt, it almost always did. She shook her head. Her other mother smiled brightly, and the hair on her head drifted like plants under the sea. "We only want what's best for you," she said. She put her hand on Coraline's shoulder. Coraline backed away. "I'm going now," said Coraline. She put her hands back in her pockets. Her fingers closed around the stone with the hole in it. Her other mother's hand scuttled off Coraline's shoulder like a frightened spider. "If that's what you want," she said. "Yes," said Coraline.
"We'll see you soon, though," said her other father, "when you come back."
Said Coraline. "And then we'll all be together as one big happy family," said her other mother. "Forever and always." Coraline backed away. She turned and hurried into the drawing room and pulled open the door in the corner. There was no brick wall there now, just darkness. A night black underground darkness that seemed as if things in it might be moving. Coraline hesitated. She turned back. Her other mother and her other father were walking towards her, holding hands. They were looking at her with their black button eyes, or at least she thought they were looking at her, but she couldn't be sure. Her other mother reached out her free hand and beckoned gently with one white finger. Her pale lips mouthed, "Come back soon," although she said nothing aloud. Coraline took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness, where strange voices whispered and distant winds howled. She became certain that there was something in the dark behind her, something very old and very slow. Her heart beat so hard and so loudly, she was scared it would burst out of her chest. She closed her eyes against the dark. Eventually, she bumped into something and opened her eyes, startled. She had bumped into an armchair in her drawing room. The open doorway behind her was blocked by rough red bricks. She was home. Yeah, this is all happening like really fast. Ugh. In the movie, the events of this seem to span over like multiple days. I mean, maybe the events do still happen over multiple days. I can only assume, but I'm surprised they revealed the thing with the eyes so fast. You will always be safe here with me." Interesting. I think, to be honest, I kind of like the visual of the needle hand more than this. Because, like, I don't know, the needle hand is like, ooh, it looks more spidery and dangerous than this. But I mean, this still looks really like, ooh, spindly and creepy. Also, yeah, the description of her hair moving like, what was it? Yeah, her hair drifted like plants under the sea. That's pretty creepy. Ugh. Can I have some water? Is the mental image making you giggle, Mimi? Mental image? What, the mental image of a Scotty dog talking in Scottish? I think it's more like, I feel like I'm not doing a very good job at the accent, so I'm embarrassed. It's like an embarrassment laugh. Okay. Chapter 5. Coraline locked the door of the drawing room with the cold black key. She went back into the kitchen and climbed onto a chair. She tried to put the bunch of keys back on top of the door again. She tried 4 or 5 times before she was forced to accept that she just wasn't big enough, and she put them down on the counter next to her. Her mother still hadn't returned from her shopping expedition. Coraline went to the freezer and took out the spare loaf of frozen bread in the bottom compartment. She made herself some toast with jam and peanut butter. She drank a glass of water. She waited for her parents to come back. When it began to get dark, Coraline microwaved herself a frozen pizza. Then Coraline watched television. She wondered why grown-ups gave themselves all the good programs, with all the shouting and running around in.
After a while, she started yawning. Then she undressed, brushed her teeth, and put herself to bed. In the morning, she went into her parents' room, but their bed hadn't been slept in, and they weren't around. She ate tinned spaghetti for breakfast. For lunch, she had a block of cooking chocolate and an apple. The apple was yellow and slightly shriveled, but it tasted sweet and good. For tea, she went down to Mrs. Spink in Forcible. She had 3 digestive biscuits, a glass of limeade, and a cup of weak tea. Digestive biscuits. Ugh, I'm gonna pop my legs under the table again. Oh, gotta stretch. Let's see. The limeade was very interesting. It didn't taste anything like limes. It tasted bright green and vaguely chemical. Coraline liked it enormously. She wished they had it at home. "How are your dear mother and father?" asked Miss Spink. "Missing," said Coraline. "I haven't seen either of them since yesterday. I'm on my own. I think I've probably become a single-child family. Tell your mother that we found the..." I love that they just don't listen. "Tell your mother that we found the Glasgow Empire press clippings we were telling her about. She seemed very interested when Miriam mentioned them to her." "She's vanished under mysterious circumstances," said Coraline, "and I believe my father has as well." "I'm afraid we'll be out all day tomorrow, Caroline lovey," said Miss Forcible. "We'll be staying with April's niece in Royal Tunbridge Wells." They showed Coraline a photographic album with photographs of Miss Spink's niece in it, and then Coraline went home. She opened her money box and walked down to the supermarket. She bought 2 large bottles of limeade, a chocolate cake, and a new bag of apples, and went back home and ate them for dinner. She cleaned her teeth and went into her father's office. She woke up his computer and wrote a story. Coraline's story. There was a girl. Her name was Apple. She used to dance a lot. She danced and danced until her feet turned into sausages. The end. Oh, she can't spell sausages. That's how she spells sausages. Sorry that I'm like moving a lot. My legs are like going numb a lot. She printed out the story and turned off the computer. Then she drew a picture of the little girl. Sorry. Then she drew a picture of the little girl dancing underneath the words on the paper. She ran herself a bath with too much bubble bath in it, and the bubbles ran over the side and went all over the floor. She dried herself and the floor as best as she could and went to bed. Coraline woke up in the night. She went into her parents' bedroom, but the bed was made and empty. The glowing green numbers on the digital clock glowed 3:12 a.m. All alone in the middle of the night, Coraline began to cry. There was no other sound in the empty flat. She climbed into her parents' bed, and after a while she went back to sleep. Coraline was woken by cold paws batting her face. She opened her eyes. Big green eyes stared back at her. It was the cat. Oh no, my phone needs charging. Oh. One sec. BRB, 1 second.